I was going to write this, but I don't feel like writing it. People have become attached to words, but not meaning. So, it's like when you're a little kid, you're still naive enough to believe in Santa Claus. But then one day, you catch your dad in a Santa Claus outfit, and then you're disillusioned for the rest of your life. You're like, nope, I'm not going to believe in magic anymore because I now realize that it's all just a bunch of words. It's not actually real. So the issue with this is the reason that it happens, the reason that parents lie to their children and think it's good to tell them that there's such a thing as Santa Claus and there really isn't, or the Easter Bunny, or any of this stupid crap, an afterlife, God, any of this stuff that they make up. There's an old man in the sky who will take care of you and listens to your prayers. Like, think about prayer, for example. Prayer is a great example of bullshit. Let's say that you're still naive enough to believe in magic enough to pray. Let's think about this. There's an all-powerful, omniscient, omnipotent being, and you're trying to tell it what to do. You think it forgot something. And if God was benevolent enough, he would know better than you. So by what standard of measure do you consider yourself audacious enough to command God and think he forgot something? It's silly. But you know what it is it's a begging for daddy to fix it. And the people that do this usually have some support. Either, most of the time it's from their parents, but they'll have some kind of a support. Maybe it was their mom, maybe it was their dad, maybe it was their sister, maybe it was their brother, or their neighbor, or their church, or somebody supported them. And so they thought, oh, okay, so subconsciously there's this feeling of, well, if I need something and I express this need for something, it will become fulfilled. But that's a magical idea. By what crazed mind did you invent this idea that if you express the need for fulfillment, that it will happen to you? Expressing a need for fulfillment doesn't automatically make it fulfilled. But yet people believe this. And most of the time well, they say grow out of it. I would say they get disillusioned, because there really is something to it, to believing in something. But it's not believing in magic. It's not believing in something that makes no sense. It's not believing in something that can't fulfill or manifest. It's something that can actualize. It's something that's actually real, that should be believed in. So, for example, when people get into conversations, especially with strangers, like I was on the bus today. Here's another example of this stupid bullshit. I was on the bus today, and on the radio, there was some song playing about, like, it was the same old bullshit they always play about boats and hoes and all that stupid shit. I'm going to go to the club and show me your poontang. What does your butthole smell like? And it's one of those what does your butthole smell like songs that they play at the club. And I was buttoning up my sleeve, and I just put the button on my right sleeve. Now, I know this code language crap, because you're not supposed to say it. Well, I'm going to say it. There's a code language. And if you button, because it starts with a B, which is the second letter in the alphabet, if you button your right sleeve while somebody's talking about what does your butthole smell like and show me your poontang, well, and you happen to be sitting next to somebody, then it's a pickup attempt. Well, it was a dude that was sitting next to me. So I button up my right sleeve. Somebody on the radio is asking what somebody else's butthole smells like, as usual. And he looks over at me all sideways, and he's like, could you move? Because somebody's sitting here. So, somebody else is sitting here. And I did. I obliged him. I moved. I didn't say a word. I just got up and left. But that example right there is like, that's what I'm talking about. And it stuck with me all morning long that actually happened. It's like, dude, are you serious? Do you really think I tried to suck your dick? Because some dude on the radio said, show me your butthole, and I buttoned up my right sleeve. Does that make any sense? No. But the belief in that is so pervasive that they do. People do, because they have this weird, it's almost like solipsism. It's like, well, I can just pretend that you're a figment of my imagination. This is a dreamland, and I'm the dreamer, and you're just some dream character that I invented in my head, and that's solipsism. I must be the only creature in existence that can think, because I'm the only person that has access to my own thoughts. So as far as I know, you don't even exist, right? And it's the same kind of line of reasoning that people use, and it doesn't work. It just creates conflict. And it, like I said, it stuck with me all morning. And it's things like that. They pile up for me. I notice these things that are just irrational, insane ideas. And that's another thing. Have you ever looked through the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual? I looked at this because I studied psychology when I was in college a long time ago. And I never graduated, but I did study it. And one of the things that bothered me when I was studying that is every single one of those mental disorders is some subjective eccentricity. The person showed up today and they had word salad. That's for schizophrenia. If you go into a doctor's office and you start stringing together random stuff like I just did, if you flip too quickly and you start talking about God 1 second and then you start talking about your neighbor the next, they'll pretend that you're saying that your neighbor is God. They don't try to figure out what you're actually meaning. They just listen to what you're saying. So everything in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that's used to diagnose people with mental disorders and then force them to take pharmaceutically manufactured medications is bullshit. It's all made up. And I was reading this book that my dad gave me called The Psychopath Test. Awesome book. It's written by John Ronson, some journalist guy. And he's going through all this stuff. He's trying to figure out, are there really psychopaths at the top in charge of everything on Earth? Is that why everything in society is fucking crazy? Because people know it is. You have to be crazy in a crazy world to be considered sane. And that's one of the things that he talks about is like, there was this guy, a lot of people have done this. It's not just in this book, it's a real thing. A lot of people have done this study, this experiment. There's a group of people that are totally sane, normal people, and they've never been diagnosed with a mental illness. They don't have any dysfunctions in their life. And they go into a doctor's office, psychiatric office, and they complain of like one symptom. Like there in the book, in the psychopath test, there was a group of people that said, I have this voice in my head that says, no, shut up, and thud, or something like that. And that was the only lie that they were allowed to say. Everything else had to be the truth. So when they answered any question that the psychiatrist would ask them, they had to tell the truth, except for that one lie that they were allowed to say. Every single one of them was institutionalized that day. And they had to take medication, get put in a straitjacket, and they had to tell the doctors like why they were should be considered sane. So that just prolonged the inevitable, because if you try to convince somebody that you're sane when they think you're crazy, then you'll just look even crazier. Because it's like, well, he's defending himself because he's obviously insane. So obviously he's going to say he's not insane. Obviously he's going to try his ass off to appear normal. So they've got this guy locked up, Tony, they call him Tony, who got locked up in Broadmoor, which is this psychopathic wing of some prison system. And it's where they put people that are supposed to sit there until they get treated for psychopathy, until it gets cured, and then they get put back into society. And have you ever noticed that no one's ever been cured of a mental illness? It would be bad for business. The pharmaceutical companies can't sell you medication anymore. The psychiatric facility can't charge you money for coming into their office anymore. They can't milk the cow anymore. So obviously there's no financial incentive for anyone on Earth to find a cure for mental illness. Well, I found one. What you do is you use logical validity, so you avoid logical fallacies, such as the appeal to popularity fallacy. Well, everybody says these things, and so they must be true. No. Just because everybody says it doesn't make it true. At one point, everybody thought the world was flat, and everybody said that. So if the appeal to popularity fallacy, were valid, then the Earth would become flat because so many people said it was flat. It isn't. So there's all kinds of these. Now there's the appeal to emotion fallacy, which is what the guy did. He did both of those things. On the bus, the guy on the bus, he committed a logical fallacy. Fucking crazy. He tells me that he lies to me because there wasn't anyone there. I looked and no one ever came on the bus that was sitting there. He just lied to me. Because I buttoned my right sleeve while somebody on the radio was talking about smelling somebody else's butthole. And that's not actually what they say. It's just my paraphrasing of club music, because I don't really like club music anymore. I think it's distasteful and shallow and stupid. But anyway. And it's an example of the logical fallacy of the appeal to popularity. Well, everybody else does that shit. If I sit next to somebody and my favorite one is brushing my teeth outside the bathroom. I get told this all the time, that it's somehow gross to brush your teeth outside the bathroom. What about the bathroom makes brushing my teeth cleaner? It's insane. The act is identical. How could it possibly become gross because of where I am when I do it? And it's almost like, it reminds me of the appeal to authority fallacy. It's like, have you ever noticed, and they've done this experiment too, that if you say something really poignant, but you're missing a tooth, nobody listens? Have you ever noticed, they did this experiment where there was this guy, he was like a superstar, fucking like rock star kind of a guy. Like, he was very well known. You know, hit singles and all kinds of stuff. He goes, not on tour, he goes and sits outside of like some random restaurant and starts, you know, have you ever guys seen those like empty guitars, boxes on the ground with money and change in it, and some rando dude is just strumming his guitar, and it's just some random yokel, some random normal guy, and he does that, right? He doesn't change his face or anything. It's totally recognizable, but he's on the street and he's playing his guitar, and he's got this empty guitar case and just waits for people to give him money and stuff. No one did. He's sold like so many records and all this stuff. I don't remember his name. And he did it to prove a point, to say it's about the context, not the content, that matters the most. People evaluate things according to their context because meaning is relational, it's relative. It depends on the context. And that's why they think it's gross when you brush your teeth outside the bathroom, even though physically it's not. There's no difference in the number of bacteria that are spread because of where I happen to sit when I'm committing a particular action. It doesn't make any sense from an empirical standpoint. It doesn't make any sense logically. But from a cultural standpoint, for some reason people think that makes sense because it causes revulsion. And I was told it's because of the spitting. And it's like, okay, so you don't like it when I spit the toothpaste out of my mouth, and you find that gross, subjectively. And then I'm supposed to accommodate you and go in the bathroom because you personally have invented some crazed delusion that it's gross to brush your teeth outside the bathroom. Why should I accommodate your subjective view? Why is my subjective view that it doesn't matter? In fact, it's not even subjective. It's actually objective. The view that it doesn't matter where I sit when I'm brushing my teeth. It doesn't become unsanitary simply because of where I sit when I do it. Why should you not accommodate my objectivity? And why should I be forced to forego my objectivity for your subjectivity? Why? Because everybody else agrees with you.